All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. Today is October 25th. Can you believe we're at the end of October? October 25th, 2022. This is episode number 179. And today we're going to take a look at trait 28. We're going to take a look at the game player. So we're going to take a look at playing the game of life. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. So before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's, Shelley, Anna is not feeling well, so wishing a speedy recovery for Anna. And Shelley, welcome.
Hello. Great to have everyone here today that can find us and join us. Happy to be looking at how we play this game of life.
Exactly. And my name is Karen Sherwood, and I'm excited to be your host and exploring playing the game of life. So again, welcome all of you that are here live in our Zoom room. If you are live in our Zoom room and you do have trait 28, we would love to hear from you. Also, if you have the entire strength, right? So if you have the 38, 28, or if you have the 38 on the other side and don't have the 28, we would love to hear from you also. So again, great to have all of you here live in our Zoom room. And also if you are watching via the recording or if you're watching via Facebook Live as well. Also via Facebook, I think, Shelley, you're watching Facebook, so you can also type in on Facebook as well. All right, let's jump in and get started. So we have been exploring October. And again, remember when we're taking a look at October, the interesting thing is that it has all of the survival traits in October. So it's the theme of the survival instinct. It's connecting with others and it's letting go, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere. You know, it is fall, and fall is all about letting go. Letting go of the trees, or letting go of the leaves, right? We're preparing to go into winter. Of course, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you are actually moving into summer. So it has a different dynamic there. But what we've been taking a look at is the instincts to survive through correction and deep knowledge. And when attuning to sound, you can hear what can be transformed that is aligned with our values, to take risks to fight for what is right, which is what we're going to take a look at today, with the alertness to know what can benefit the whole. So we've taken a look at correction. We've taken a look at depth. We've taken a look at intuitive insight. We've taken a look at continuity and values last week. And today we're going to take a look at the game player, the instinct for struggle worth fighting for. And then next week we move into alertness, the instinct for what is for the benefit of the group. And it's very interesting. If you take a look at today, you'll notice that this game player is activated in multiple places today. So we can see that it is in the 28 is in the core essence. It's also in our driving force. And it is also in our values as well. So one of the things that might be showing up this week is taking a look at playing the game of life, taking risks that you may not otherwise take. Now, it was really great in my foundation course this morning. We had a lot of people speak and share their experience, and really, in a sense, sort of playing the game and sharing some very powerful stuff within the class. And so again, taking that risk and being able to share to support the entire tribe, because we were talking about the tribal circuitry today in the foundation course. So let's explore, because the 28, it's interesting again, because the 28 is individual, yet it is grounded through the 27. So it's one of the traits we covered in the foundation course today in the tribal circuitry. And so it is, in a sense, taking risk, and at the same time, it's grounded by this, making sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your own needs, and this nurturing. So the 27 is nurturing. So taking risks, but yet also grounded by nurturing others and also nurturing yourself as well. So interesting to see what we have show up today. Today is also, I believe, a solar eclipse as well. There's potent energies afoot today. So let's dive into today's theme. So in today's theme, we're taking a look at the game player. And when we take a look at trait 28, the game player is the potential of intuition, is known that in the now, what and whether it is a value to struggle or not, right? Is it really worth it? Is it worth it to take the risk? Is it worth it to play the game? And it's the preponderance of the great, the challenge, and the challenge is life itself. It's the fear of death. When we take a look at an awareness function, this is an awareness function. There are fears associated with it. And trait 28 is the fear of death or the fear of dying without really having a purpose. So the fear of death or purpose or not having something worth living for. Right. So one of the things to take a look at this week as well is what is worth fighting for? What is your purpose? Why are you here? What is of value? Are you fully playing the game of life or are you playing it safe? And this is the transitoriness of power and influence, meaning, right, that you can have power and influence for a short period of time, but it's transitory. It doesn't necessarily last. And it is the willingness to take risks to make you feel more alive. And it's confronting those fears, right? It's the fear of death or the fear of not having the purpose. So it is taking risks and confronting your fears helps you to develop a strong sense of confidence that you have what it takes to survive and that life really does have reason and it does have purpose. And it also has the ability to redirect the self-absorbed nature of people by prodding them to open up to share what they know with others. And this is exactly what I saw in my foundation course, prodding them to really share and open up what they know is what they, ended up sharing and contributing and empowering others with. So I could hear it in what people were sharing in my foundation course today. And if you do not rely on your decision-making strategy, you may unnecessarily fight other people's battles and experience needless resistance and exhaustion. So it's really about picking your battles, like what is really worth fighting for and what is simply just a waste of energy. So with that, I would love to hear Shelley. What's your experience, or how have you seen the 28 show up either in your life or with those that you're connected with?
Yes, I don't have this myself, but my son does have this, and I do see these. What's the word? This in his very nature. That especially when you talk about prodding others to open up, he does that a lot with people. He loves to poke and prod. He's quite funny actually, and he's got a really dry wit and sarcastic sense of humor that often shocks people as well. But people end up laughing their heads off. He's been doing that since he was a teenager, and stand-up comedy was kind of something we all thought he would go into because he's so good at this. And often the things that he is poking at are based on people's fears and helping them kind of realize that there may be, helping people recognize whether or not the risk is worth taking. So allowing people to kind of see the other side of their fears, of call out things that people are afraid of and make fun of them in a way that allows people to lighten up about it all. So so that's been my experience with that. And I do also have, I think all of our kids have some form of this strength. They either have the 38 or the 28, and their partners have one or the other as well. So we have 3 kids all married to people that have got this. So we often see them, they're risk takers in the stuff they like to do for fun. They all go snowboarding, or my son's done the jumping out of the airplane. He's actually, I think both of our sons have this 28, because our younger son has been the guy taking all the bigger risks. They've always been sort of calculated risks, the ones that he feels are worth trying out, that are things he'd really want to do. He won't do everything, but he really picks and chooses the things that he wants to experience. And they're things that not everybody would do, but he does it sort of almost in a calculated way to make sure that the risk is worth taking for him. So yeah, that's kind of how I've seen it show up in our family.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that it's connected or grounded by the 27 of caring, because that's sort of something I know came up for me today. I found myself wondering whether I should respond to something that I normally probably would have waited and slept on for a bit. But today I was like, no, let's just do this, because I care about what this is about. This is worth fighting for. Let me put this out there and see what I get back. And it does make you feel a little more alive, like, oh yeah, I took that chance. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's nothing too terrible can come of it, I don't think. But it felt good to stand up for it. When I typically wouldn't, because I don't have this trait. So I have noticed it already. And in fact, it was funny. I did it, and then I took a little break and I went, oh my gosh, I wonder what the trait is today. Went through my head. I said, oh, it's the 28. No wonder I felt okay to do that today. It was really kind of fun to recognize how this impacts us.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, if you don't have the trait, you may feel the effects of it. Or again, you may find opportunities to take advantage of it as well while it's impacting us. Beautiful example, Shelley. Thank you so much. And yes, Lori, I think you have it in your design.
Yes, I do. I have it conscious and unconscious for what's hidden. That would be Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the quintessential 28 experience this morning. I was going to an appointment. It was going to be mutually beneficial for myself and the other person. And when I got close to the place, there was signs that said the road was blocked. And I looked ahead and I didn't see anything going on, but I have the 50. So I turned around, and then I looked in my apps to see, and there didn't look like there was anything. And there was no other way to get to the place without driving about an hour out of the way, because it was a mountain and lake and that kind of thing.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, I guess it was my 28 just said, you can get through this. You can go through. So I turned around and started going through, and then another car pulled up behind me, and I thought, well, I'll talk to that person and see what we think. And she must have had the 28 too, because she said, I really get the feeling there's no reason, that there's no purpose to this roadblock. And I think the part of the 28 that's the game player is more like a strategic thinking, like Shelley said, her son does calculating. So is the purpose of where I'm going higher than the purpose of this roadblock, which is not purposeful? And so she said, well, unless there's a hole in the road, we can get through. And then I said, well, what's the worst that can happen? They could make us turn back, or they could give us a ticket. But if there's 2 of us, they probably would be less likely to do anything to us. And so we started driving, and we were driving and driving. She was following me, and there was nothing. There was nothing there. And there was really this intuitive knowing that this is going to be okay. And we finally got to about 1.5 miles past the roadblock, and there was one little electricity truck, fixing a wire. And I just drove around him and kept going. And it seemed metaphorical for what the 28 has been in my life, which is there's this knowing that even though it looks risky and nobody else was going down that street because it said it was blocked, but there's a knowing that there's a higher purpose and there's a reason, and it's okay. So it turned out okay. And it just made me laugh that that would happen on the day of the 28th.
I love it. That is such a beautiful, beautiful example of how the 28 operates. And again, like you said, it was sort of a calculated risk. And the key here also is it is part of the survival instincts. And so in a sense, your instincts were heightened in, yes, it is going to be okay. We can do this as a quote unquote calculated risk. And recognizing, is there a bigger purpose? Is it a value? I love everything that you said. It just is such a beautiful illustration of exactly what the 28 is all about. Thank you so much, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. I did think of another example that might exemplify if there's time.
Please.
Oh, okay. When I was just out of college, I wanted to be a reporter for a metropolitan newspaper. And so because I was young, I was hired as a crime reporter. Sorry about the noise in the background. And soon after starting, I would call the police every morning, and every week there was a Black woman who was killed in a particular neighborhood. And I said to the police, I think there's a pattern here. And they said, oh, no, this is just random. And my 28 said, looks like there's a serial killer. And so I went to it, and I knew that there was a risk, but that 28 said you'll be okay as long as you go during the day. And I went to visit the families of the victims, and they all led me to a bar. I got a picture of each of the victims, went to the bar, showed the bartender the pictures, and he gave me a description of the murderer. And
Wow.
I know. And the police then followed up on that information. And just as the man who fit the description, was walking up to the next victim, they handcuffed him, and the DNA, of course, matched the other victims. So it said to me, it didn't seem risky to me. The newspaper ended up winning an award for doing that, and I got promoted to be a business reporter, and it turned out all very nicely. But it really reminded me of how the 28 just has this determination. And when there's a feeling that there's a higher purpose, that's kind of the game of it, is which is higher, to protect oneself or to go out and try to help somebody else. And I laughed about the roadblock today, because I thought, that's the 28. Roadblocks don't matter. Just if with the 28, I always feel like, I'm pretty conservative, not conservative politically, but cautious, except when I just know this is going to serve a higher purpose, and it's worth the 0.0001% risk.
Yes.
So.
Wow. Yeah, really, really beautiful illustrations of what the 28 is all about. And it is, in a sense, this inner knowing that, yes, this is safe, or no, this isn't safe. And when you have taken that risk because you've trusted your instincts, it's really led you in the right direction.
It seems to be a really useful trait. It sounds unsavory, the game player and shaking hands with devils and all that, but it really does seem to serve a higher purpose. And even the shaking hands with the devil sometimes means to make, and I think they even say this in the books, but it's about being friendly with maybe someone you don't agree with, because it'll help to create a higher purpose for others. So
Yes.
anyway.
So beautifully shared. Thank you so much, Lori.
Thank you.
Love it. Yes, and Leanna, you also have it as well.
Yes, I do. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Lori, stop it. Those stories were fantastic, and just that's really helping me understand this at a deeper level. So I've just been taking some notes. So how, Lori, you've said it serves a higher purpose, and tracking what's higher, or tracking what's stronger, what's higher. That's such a great tip for people who don't have this defined in their design, but have this activated this week. So I love that share. So some of this, obviously, because I have it conscious, unconscious, some of this I don't know. Like I can almost feel like I don't know it, but then I know I do know it. because it gets me all excited and I guess activated. But I also have a part of this that I'm not quite clear on, but I'll just share a story. So funny. So yesterday, I made a bold move, took a risk to share what had a higher purpose for me and where I would need to make a move in business, and took a risk by sharing that information with the team, taking a risk, sharing what I'm feeling. And it was really interesting and it was based on higher purpose, a higher purpose for the team, a higher purpose for myself as an individual. Really fantastic when you have conversations that come from that place or are grounded in that place in the 28. And because in a way, it is a game player, because when you work on teams, when you're working on projects, it's not, if you can picture that we're kids sitting around a Monopoly board, but as adults, we're sitting around a boardroom, or in this day and age, our computers for a lot of us. So, but a lot of those themes, they're still at play. And it's not, and if we can enjoy it, and part of the way that I find people stop enjoying it is they don't bring in the higher purpose, or they separate the higher purpose out of their work experience. And I think another thing that makes it a lot of fun, to be absolutely honest, because I practice this, is the BG5. Is bringing in the BG5 into my actual work environments. It makes it so much fun. But I'll tell you a funny thing. Yesterday, so I've just checked the charts of two people. Neither one of them have the 28. They both either gave the resignation yesterday and took a risk, and wrote me and said, I'm taking a risk and backing myself, backing what I need, backing what I know. And the other person hasn't left, but came home and pretty much said to my partner and said, I'm going to take well, he didn't say I'm going to take a risk, because it doesn't feel like a risk, but it looks like a risk. It can look like a risk to other people, but it doesn't always feel like a risk. Exactly what Lori was saying, because it was so strong and clear to go forward. So two people I know, plus myself, all making risk, taking risks to follow the higher, to follow what feels safe. And it feels safe to speak up, or it feels safe to resign. It feels safe to move into a new role. And I'll add a funny one. I have assets, and I just felt, of course, the 28, for some reason, 28, just opened my computer yesterday, didn't realize what the trait was, and just went, oh, I didn't. And it was like, I feel like it's a game feeling. I feel like I want to have some fun. So I look at my assets. What do I want to do? And then I look at it like it's a chess game, a game of chess. And then I go, well, if I make this move, no one else is making that move yet. So I'll be ahead of the game. Do I want to do that? And then it's calculated. It's calculated moves with the 28. And they're often not, it is often what you see before others see it, but that's what gives you what would it be? Like, that's what, when you make the first move, it gives you the advantage.
The advantage, yeah.
The advantage. That's all.
Yeah.
And so people can be using the 28 this week in their teams by naming and making the first move. So by naming, calling, shifting, creating something if they can see it's missing. So going and spending some time to create that thing that they believe would benefit the whole group. Invest the 28 into doing something that you're the first to see it, or the first to do it if others see it, but no one has actually. Oh, sorry, my family's in the background. I think they're wrestling. Anyway, that's me. Yeah. That's what I can share.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Leanna. Yeah, really beautiful examples of what this 28 is all about. Now, what I want to do now is actually take a look at the shadow of the 28 as well. So this is how you get affected when you're connected. So this is the shadow of the 28. And this is when you don't have the 28. And specifically, if you have trait 38 on the other side, but you don't have the 28. So the shadow of the 28 is lack of knowing what is worth fighting for. Oftentimes the 38 on the other side is the fighter. And so you may just fight for fighting's sake and not really know what is really worth fighting for. So do you find that you're often wanting to fight for no reason, or do you waste a lot of energy trying to fight battles that are not correct for you, or they're not your battles to fight? And do you impulsively act on the pressure to confront adversity without following your decision-making strategy? Now, because with the 38, there is a pressure there. And so the problem is that you have the fighter spirit, especially if you do have the 38 on the other side, but you may have a tendency to waste your energy by engaging in battles or fights that are not correct for you, and you often don't know what struggles have value or not, right? So one of the things that we've talked about today with the 28 is, having and doing it for some kind of higher purpose. If you don't have the 28, you don't know what that higher purpose is. And so the solution is that you're designed to work with others who can give you purpose and help you recognize what is worth fighting for and what is not worth fighting for. I'm curious to know if there is anyone who is live in our Zoom room or anyone in Facebook as well who has the 38 but does not have the 28, and has experienced this lack of knowing of what is worth fighting for. Yes, Vicky, would love to hear from you. Give me 1 second here. Let me make sure you're unmuted there. Hey, Vicky.
Hi all, I'm out walking as I usually am at this time, so I apologise for the breathlessness. Just before I discovered design, I would fight anything and everything just because I felt like it. And I'm trying to get much more discerning, and I found following my decision-making strategy of waiting a month really lets a lot of things fall away and shows you what's really worth fighting for or not. But the positive of the 28 and the 38 are their mutative forces. So the game and the fight is there to change things. So
Yes.
yeah, sorry, a bit breathless. I'll let you guys continue.
Well, and especially being an evaluator, I'm just really curious as well, with 28 activated 3 times today, if you've felt the impact of that.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of things that I've been wondering whether or not to take on the fight for, and saying no to a lot of them, which is really nice.
Yeah. And be able to discern what is worth fighting for and what is not worth fighting for. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Vicky. And Shelley, is there anything that you would like to add, or anyone in Facebook that has contributed either about the 28 or having the 38?
Yeah, no one in Facebook. I do, like I said, all of my children have some form of this. My daughter has the 38, and she's just kind of known as somebody that will go to bat for you if you need her to. And it's so funny that we talk about just fighting for no reason, especially when she was younger. She did, she cares a lot about people. She has a 27 as well, and so she would go to bat for any of her friends anytime they needed. And it was hilarious because even physically, as a young child, she was very quiet most of the time and very sort of unassuming. And then all of a sudden she would just bust out and beat up her brother for no apparent reason at all. I have pictures of her just jumping on us, and they would just laugh because she's like a tiny little fly to the size of her brothers. But it was just so funny to see her spirit just pop out like that, with no real provocation or anything. It would just get the better of her, and she had to get it out. So And she definitely is one who is cares very deeply about many different causes, and but being able to focus on one of them at a time has always been a bit of a challenge for her, knowing which one is really worth her time and energy to fight for it. She'd feel very deeply about it and feel that she wanted to fight for it, but often wouldn't know, where exactly or how exactly to give her energy to that. She's an advisor, so it always worked better if someone came and asked her to fight with them, and she would be there by their side. So, and still is. In fact, actually, interesting, she is she's always wanted to become a doula, and is looking at doula training, which is all about transitions in life, and helping people, being there to fight by their side for bringing new life. And so she does it not only for her friends who've had babies, but she now does that for businesses, for leaders who are not sure what direction to go, or how to get clear on what they should be standing for or fighting for. And she's done some consulting work around it, and that from that perspective most recently. So yes, it's amazing to see these traits in people around us.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Beautiful example, Shelley. And I'm wondering if there's anyone else who is live here in our Zoom room, again, that has the 38, but not the 28, and would like to share your experience, because we would love to hear from you as well. Or if you have experiences within people that that you could share a story, we would love to hear from you. Beautiful. All right. Well, it doesn't look like anyone else is stepping up to the plate. So, so one of the things, again, just kind of taking a look at, I don't have either of these traits, and when together, the strength is the strength of tenaciousness. So it really is that it's struggle, right? Sometimes, if you have either one of these traits, the 28 or the 38, you may find that sometimes life is a struggle. However, if there is a purpose behind that struggle, that makes the struggle worthwhile. Beautiful. Yeah, and Rebecca, you said you do have the 28. Would you like to share about having the 28?
Yes, I would.
Yes.
Sorry. So there were a couple of things. One is the fear of death or not. And I don't feel like I have the fear of death, but when I realized that one, I think what I'm afraid of is for my friends and my family to die. Because it's like I can see the danger approaching, and all I can do is kind of sound the alarm, and then there's nothing else I can do. So I think that's how that manifests. And then I swear I don't know a 28 who hasn't skydived. But anyway, I was doing that at 18. And then this is kind of interesting. I moved into I moved in 2021. And one of the reasons I moved is because I felt like my neighbors, not really knowing it, but I felt like they were dangerous. And so it's kind of ironic because I ended up moving to another neighborhood. And so I moved from a very peaceful neighborhood, except for the neighbors being dangerous, in my opinion, to a neighborhood that where I trust my neighbors. And there's gunfire in the middle of the night all the time. And there's a part of me that goes, you know what? I feel safer here than I did there. And I'm fine. It's kind of like, you know what? Death comes for us all. I don't think that's how I'm going to go out. I also don't go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and walk in the back alleys. But
Right.
but I just kind of feel like, that life is what it is. And I'm cautious. I'm cautious. I don't take unnecessary risks, but it's funny how I feel safer there.
Yes.
So that's where we are.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Again, you can hear that theme of what looks risky to other people from the outside does not feel risky for you, right? And we've heard that from all of those that shared with the 28. So I think that's a really an interesting observation of how that 28 works. Yeah,
Mhm.
and Shelley.
Karen, is this the James Bond trait? Is it
No.
this one?
Yeah,
No.
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
It's okay. I was confusing that with the other one, I guess. You just reminded me, Rebecca, too, one of the things that our middle son had kind of as a theme in his life was starting from a young age, actually. He would end up in situations that looked risky to other people, yet he never felt unsafe. As a young boy, he went off on a walk with his friend and his friend's parents, and they were walking through quite a large forest with multiple paths, and they got off on the wrong path and wandered their way, and they were about 8 or 9 years old, and found their way into a neighborhood and eventually found their way back to the beginning of the park, but not before the parents realized they were missing and called the search and rescue team and the news channel, and everybody was out looking for them. And here, when I didn't know anything about it, thank goodness, until they brought him home, and he said, I don't know what the big deal was, Mom. I knew where I was. I wasn't lost. Everybody else thought I was lost, but I knew exactly where I was. And that theme continued through his teenage, as teenagers. At his wedding, his best man got up and said the same thing. Okay, we're now passing the torch over to the wife to keep a tab on where our son is, because it would happen whenever he was in a crowd with his friends too. He'd somehow go off somewhere on his own and nobody would know where he was, but he felt perfectly safe. And he always found his way home. And so that was what he said at his wedding. Everybody else thought I was lost, but I knew exactly where I was. I was fine. So knowing
Yes.
instinctively that what was okay for him, like you said, it looks risky to other people and other people might not do that, but he felt perfectly safe and trusted himself to be where he was. So I thought that's just a really funny to see that theme show up throughout his whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it is attached to the survival instinct. So it is the instincts to know what is safe and what is the correct or calculated risks to take for you and what is not. Now, if you don't have trait 28, this is something to pay attention to this week, because you may be tempted to take risks that are that may not be calculated risks, or so just to be careful, just to be aware. And what I'd like to do is have everyone who has shared as part of our panel today ponder what should people be aware of this week as we are in trait 28. And again, 28 is very activated today. And once again, if you are wondering if you have the 28 or not, or if you're new to BG5, you can get your free report by visiting our website at the BG5 Business or BG5Institute.com. You can also get a free chart as well, see if you have the 28 or not, and see how it may affect you. You can also watch past episodes of BG5 Live, both on our website and also on YouTube as well. And we invite you to check out our courses and our programs. Again, the best place to start is the BG5 Foundation Course. In the BG5 Foundation Course, we go into all of the traits and all of the strengths and all of the different career types and functions to really understand how your unique career design operates. And then from there, if you are interested in being able to utilize this information in working with others, you can then join our BG5 certification. We are now officially accredited, so you also receive CEU credits for any of the courses that you take here at the BG5 Business Institute. Beautiful. So what I would love to hear from each of our panelists to wrap everything up is, with trait 28 activated this week, what are some things for people to be aware of or to pay attention to? Or what would you recommend for others to be aware of and pay attention to as we experience trait 28? Let's start with, is Lori still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yes, Lori, let's start with Lori.
Okay, well, I really like what Leanna said about life being like a Monopoly game or a chessboard. And I think that really simplifies how to work with the 28. If, just kind of step back when you run into situations where you aren't sure, where you're assessing risk or calculating, should I go forward or not? And just step back and see, if I do X, Y, Z, what will be the consequences? Or if I do ABC, what will be, and kind of weigh which is more, it just brings more good. So looking at decisions that way during this coming week. And also, it seems with the eclipse that just happened and another one coming on election day, that there's a lot of things leaving people's lives. So and coming in new, and we have to let go of something to let the new thing in. So it seems like this is a wonderful energy to really listen to your intuition and think about that chessboard. If I go this way, what'll that lead to versus the other way, and what's really the higher road. So that's what we say.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lori. And ultimately it's following your decision-making strategy, but it's nice to kind of be able to see what the higher purpose is in the choices that you make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lori.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Plus strategy and authority, of course.
Yes. 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 Beautiful. And Leanna.
Thank you. I had to piggyback Lori for sure. Oh crap. When Lori just said, oh now okay, let me just breathe into it. Yes, letting go of something.
Mm.
So 100% this is that. The 28 is willing to choose. The 28 is willing to choose. And I literally did this yesterday. And so what I use with the 28 is I use my decision-making strategy, because it does not lie. We know it to be true. We can feel it in our bodies. It is beyond the mind. And when the mind is scared, the mind is worried, the mind is questioning, the decision-making strategy brings the solidness and supports the decision that we know to be true, because the 28 follows what lights us up. So it's a sensory thing. It does not lie. And so for me, I need to be willing to choose. And in a choice, you need to let go. And the information is all there for us at any given time. We all know what lights us up and what has become heavy, constricted, is taking the joy away. Like if something is sapping the joy, there's a decision to be made. And I'd love to invite people to consider allowing the 28 to support decisions around letting go of things that steal your joy. And before you make that decision, review it through your decision-making strategy so that you have that extra level of comfort, reassurance, and certainty in the risk, certainty in the risky decision that really isn't risky, because choosing what lights you up is never risky. It just feels that way from the mind.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, beautifully said, Leanna. And when we take a look at what the shadow is of the survival instinct, it's unwilling to let go. And really this is about, sometimes it's really one of the biggest risks is being able to let go and letting go of those things that no longer serve you, just as Leanna said, and Lori said as well, to allow the opening for what is new and what really does have purpose and reason and passion. Yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful. And let's go to Rebecca.
So I would suggest stepping out and taking a risk that's within your comfort zone, and then enjoy the ride, enjoy the game.
Yes, enjoy the ride and enjoy the game. Right. And not taking it so seriously. I love that, Rebecca. Thank you so much. And Vicky. I don't know if Vicky is still here. She may be still. Looks like Vicky has stepped away. And so let's wrap up with Shelley. What last words of wisdom do you have to share with us, Shelley, as we wrap up this BG5 Live?
Wow, those were so many words of wisdom from all of you. I think I've learned from you as well. Being able to remember to really rely on our survival instinct, because it's so quiet and we often can quickly override it, but just staying connected to it. You may feel more connected to it this week because the 28 is activated. And as I'm listening to everybody speak about it today, it's like there's that instinctive knowing, and Leanna, I loved how you said, followed by the strength of your own decision making, that will really help you enjoy the game the most, to be able to have fun with life and really trust your body intelligence to know that it's there to support you in really enjoying life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So again, it's playing the game of life. That is the theme today, and being able to take the risks that make life worth living, and being able to let go when we really do need to let go. Beautiful. It has been an amazing discussion. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everyone who is here live. And thank you also with those of you who are watching via the recording. Great to have you here. And we'll sign off for today and look forward to seeing you all next week. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week playing the game of life, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.